very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us. And this is a special program brought to you by Shelter Incorporated, extending our discussions, of course, to Etosha Gardens and Etosha Memorial Park, where service offerings also do speak to pastoral and counseling services. And I'm looking forward to hearing a bit more on that in our discussion today. I'm joined in studio by Maimende, and of course, picking up from our discussion that we previously had on how to be able to assist individuals professionally who are going through grief, but also touching on the dynamics that come up with families during the course of grief. Maimende, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Right, and previously we had quite an in-depth discussion on the professional role of a counselor within a bereavement, and how, as a service, Etosha Gardens and Memorial Park does offer that to the bereaved. But you also touched on some key areas around family dynamics and the importance of family relationships during bereavement. How then do you also convey a positive environment during such difficult times to those who are going through grief?
Farai, I'm so happy that we've got this opportunity and this platform because some of the things that people know as counselors or as psychologists, they only got to know because they studied it. When you are in a family setup, you don't know anything about that. Yeah. And as family members, we need to understand that when people are grieving, they are going through a cycle which can take all sorts of turns. The first one is really being in shock, right? So when someone is in shock, they desire to have somebody who understands that they are in shock. Right. But for many bereaved, it is that time when they receive the most judgment from family. So you have someone saying, you know, why is she or why is he having to go all that to that extent? So it is important for us as members of the family to understand that these different stages of grief are inevitable and are normal, so that we support whichever stage of grief someone is, we must be there to support it. Now, you'll find that while someone is grieving, for example, let's say if someone has lost their husband, instead of people coming alongside to help the widow, people are asking, kuti, bank book rukupi, account yake yakamira sei, mumwe atopfeka bhutsu dzabhudhi, mumwe atopfeka bhachi rabhudhi. So already, on top of the shock that this person is going through, they are having to deal with the fact that now I'm on my own without my husband. These people are already taking my husband's stuff. And it's not just for women. We have men who, while they are grieving, while they're still in that pain of loss, vaningina vemukadzi are coming to take the pots, they are coming to take anzmidziyo yedu, masofa, they take everything that belongs to their relative. So these kind of things militate against the support that the person needs. Right. Yes, we know tinechivan chedu in a certain way that things must be done. Yes. But let us not focus so much on that that we forget to hold the hand of the person who is grieving. If
I could understand you, Maimende, you seem to be speaking, especially within your professional capacity, in being able to, if I could use, you're mitigating some of the challenges that come up with the bereaved individual within that kind of environment. And if I understand it very well, you're also saying that some of these challenges that we do come across are common.
They are very
common. And some even are based on cultural practices. So we can't avoid them.
Yes.
But we can find a way to be able to address them when they come up. Another one that also comes up is the duration and time to which one should be able to be there and support someone who is going through bereavement. If I could say that maybe after burial has taken place, maybe you could walk us through that process.
Yes. You know, as Etosha, we have started this pastoral ministry because we realize that with the way people are going with work and all those things. After burial, a day later, everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
There's nobody, well, maybe a few, maybe 2 or 3 are there. And that is when the reality of the situation starts to kick in.
Right.
So a lot of people are at their worst there. That's when they reach rock bottom. And when they reach that rock bottom, there's no one now. Everybody is gone. So you are really now looking at this reality on your own. So this is where we've been coming in as Etosha, to come and walk with people. In that time, they are able to listen to you.
Right.
Because when they are at the burial, for example, they can't even think. So we can sit down and begin to address some of the things that they're really worried about. And we have seen that it is important to have just that one person that remains for at least 2 weeks, or to check on the person, even if you can't be there because of work.
Right.
Checking on your loved one. How are they? Right. How are they feeling? So the constant visit, the constant phone call, that makes a big difference.
Would it also be fair to understand that with the extension services that Etosha Gardens and Memorial Park offers for counseling, that a bereaved individual can have follow-up sessions up until a period in time that they find themselves being stable enough to have said, I've addressed everything that I need to address. But what kind of duration are we looking at? How long?
You know, Farai, there is never a duration, which is some of the misconceptions that we have. We think that after a month, you know, even if you look at the way things are done, nyaradzo is usually about a month, and it's assumed that after a month, or after a year, we have a memorial, but people take all those things differently. There is no prescribed time, because people are different in the way they grieve.
Right.
I'll tell you that my father died 44 years ago, but I attended a workshop on bereavement in which something was triggered in me.
Right.
Like it was about 38 years after my father died when I attended that workshop. And I could not stop weeping. So sometimes people just suppress their feelings.
Right.
They just repress them and park them somewhere.
Right.
But you park them alive. So it's important for us as family, as friends, to actually walk with people to help them go through that pain and experience it.
But maybe you could also give us some guidelines really here on managing the process of grief. It has been said that one doesn't get over the loss of someone that they held dear. However, the journey is acceptance of that loss and acknowledging that loss as you go through the journey of life. Easier said than done.
Yes, definitely.
But I'm sure you can also be able to give some sort of solace to those who are listening right now and encouragement in that journey.
Yes. For me, what I want to apologize about is the fact that I believe there's a God that's bigger than our problems. And not to Bible bash anyone, but, you know, for me, that has been what has helped. And I know for many, that has been what has helped. When you realize that there is a God who is bigger than your problem, and whoever is coming to you is also acknowledging that and pointing you to a God who managed stress, who managed pain, who managed abuse, who managed... So you find that as family, as friends, if we just know to point, because we are incapacitated, we can't do it.
Right.
We say all the wrong things, you know. Understand who is really grieving. You know, at Etosha, we have we get names of the next of kin. Usually the next of kin during a funeral is muzukuru, arugona manya chitumwa, and so on. So that person may not be in as much pain as the widow of the deceased.
Right.
So it's important to know who is really grieving and not to also just assume, because tinosvika pamba panamai vafirwa and we are concentrating on amai, we forget they have kids. You know, when we were growing, we were told, musaite msikanzwa, muda kuti amai venyu vaite sei, right? So it was like my mother ndo vafirwa. So if we identify who is grieving, and we help that bereaved person together with the other people around them, and point them to the one who is bigger than the problem, you find that that's the first step that you take. And having said that, not everybody will accept that God is the answer.
Right.
There are some people who find ways through group discussions, through counseling, through professional counseling, and through friends, a neighbor. Imwe neighbor can be the answer for them.
Right.
So we need to identify what is working for somebody at that moment, because the initial thing is to make them feel healed. And then whatever else you believe in, you can dish out to them.
That's it. And on that very emphatic note, I'd like to thank you so much for your contributions today. We definitely do look forward to speaking to you again in future, and maybe you could give us your closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Farai. Thanks for having me. And I think to our listeners, all I can say is that death is inevitable. We will at some point all have to face death. Because it's inevitable. It's just like a bird that is flying over your house. You cannot control. But what we can control is how we handle it when it happens. And as those that will be bereaved, we may take solace in knowing that we can trust God to help us. And those of us that will be there to be helpers for those that are bereaved, we can also take a leaf from what we were sharing today, that we need to be there in a way that helps them not make their situation worse.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, my lady.
Thank you so much, Farai.
Once again, I of course do implore you to keep sending us your questions, comments, and your contributions on our social media platforms. We always appreciate hearing from you. That's it for now. Pleasant viewing.